Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming from right here in my quaint little converted garage. I am, of course, your host, John the Garage Dweller Campea. It's good to have you guys here. I'm being joined all the way out in the wastelands of Redlands, California, in the observatory, one Mr. Robert Meyer Burnett. Robert, how you doing today, sir?
John, I'm doing good. I want to give a shout out to some of the viewers of this channel who came by yesterday to the Irvine Spectrum and watched Citizen Kane.
Nice.
And I had one viewer come out and say, listen, I wanted to understand, he'd never seen it before, why you always say that Fast Five is the Citizen Kane of the Fast and Furious franchise. I never understood what that meant.
Now he has context.
Now he has context, but thanks. It was cool seeing some viewers coming out for that, and you guys got a great treat.
And also joining us from, I don't know what to call it other than maybe the sea lair, all the way out in Dallas, Texas, and that area, we got Chris Parker, also known as 3C Films, is here today. Chris, how you doing today, man?
Hey, thank you for having me, John. You could just say the hottest balls land, because that's what it's feeling like out here.
Yeah, I was one of the World Cup games was out in Houston, and they said the temperatures was up like 102, 103.
I go outside just to take out my trash, and I come in feeling exhausted.
You know, I was in Vegas this weekend too, and it peaked up to like 106 at one point. Like, thankfully, we just stayed inside most of the time, but I guess that's what you got to do out in Dallas right now, stay inside.
It's awful.
All right, guys. Most importantly, of course, you guys are here. Thank you so much for being here, making our little show part of your day. And here's how the show's going to go. We're going to start off by talking about a bunch of predetermined topics we got lined up for you guys. And we do got a lot of good stuff lined up. Then in the second part of the show is when I'm going to take your live comments and questions. If you have a thought, theory, opinion, question, or topic you'd like me to address, as long as I deem it appropriate to be addressed on the show, go ahead and fire it on into our super chat feature if you are watching live, and you do have to be watching live in order to do that. All right, guys. With that down, let's get things started. We're going to kick things off with this. You know, one of the movies that opened this weekend was Minions and Monsters. And, you know, this was one of the films that I kind of predicted would be in the hunt for the $1 Billion Club, because it's a Minions movie, right? Despicable Me films have, I don't know, 2, 3 of them that have joined the $1 Billion Club. These are big, big box office films. And the early word of mouth on Minions and Monsters, both from critics and early audiences who saw it, were that it's quite good. That it's really quite, nobody said it's the best of the franchise, but that it was quite good. So it opens up this weekend, and sure enough, it opens in the #1 spot. But that's not saying much, because the #1 spot is the lowest opening by far of any Despicable Me / Minions universe movie ever, making, I think, around $38 million at the box office. It made a $61 million 5-day opening, but in its proper 3-day opening, which is what you measure it by, it ended up being like 30-something million dollars. Let's go over and take a look at this chart here. When you look at the Minions stuff, like, they had 2 of them open over $100 million. Despicable Me, the original, opened at 56, and Minions and Monsters made like 40% of that, made less than a third of what the biggest opening was. And again, here's the key thing. This isn't a Supergirl situation where the critics hated it and it got lousy advanced, word of mouth and stuff like that. Word of mouth and early reviews for Despicable Me's Minions and Monsters were pretty solid. And yet, $36.4 million. I think, what was the last one that was Minions, The Rise of Gru? Was that the last one that came out? I think that was 2022.
In Minions, yeah.
Yeah, that opened to $107 million. 107.
Domestic, wow.
Yeah. This is like a third of that. And so, guys, I got to tell you, like, considering the franchise, considering how big these movies have all been, considering that it's got pretty decent word of mouth, like from decent to quite good, I am honestly at a loss for why this thing has opened so low. Like, there's an argument to be made about, well, Toy Story, which is approaching $800 million, by the way, in just its third weekend. Toy Story's out there only in its third weekend. there might be a lot of family audiences that are wanting to take their kids to go see the movies that rather would go back to see Toy Story again. Maybe they should have opened Minions and Monsters a little bit further away from Toy Story. Or is it the thing of, listen, this is an older franchise now. The reality is Despicable Me's been around for a minute, and maybe people are just over that. Maybe they're just over the gimmick. Maybe people are just over the gimmick. I don't know. But again, for me, this would be a much simpler thing to wrap my head around and discuss if it was a bad movie. But generally speaking, the reviews have been quite good. Anyway, Rob, this thing, it opens at number 1. Great. But it opened at number 1 at $36.4 million. Where the last film in its franchise, I think, opened to like 100 million plus. And they've opened as high as 115 million. Several of the films are billion-dollar films. Why do you think Minions and Monsters had such a limp opening weekend? What do you think?
It's hard to say, but I would imagine it's just the whole idea, the premise behind it is not fun. It was not uniquely like Minions and Monsters should be a no-brainer. And then the old Hollywood setting for us was really appealing. But aren't Minions kind of their own monsters? I mean, call me crazy, but you Minions and Monsters sound like two things that have been put together in a way. It sounds a little cheap. In a way, the rise of Gru is like, oh, I get that. You've got something from the Minions universe that is coming into play. But with this, I mean, it's a strange thing. I'll tell you, at the theater yesterday, I heard a friend of one of the people who came to see Citizen Kane said to me, I'm going to see another movie. I'm going to see Toy Story 5 again. And I was like, when you want to see something, even if you've already seen Toy Story 5, it's so appealing. And it was so much fun to watch that I think people would be hard pressed, even if just to see something. People who go see animated films usually watch them over and over and over and over again. And maybe Minions, it just didn't have enough of that hook to bring people into the theater. It's like, well, what's going to happen? I don't know. Probably the same thing that we've already seen a million times. With Toy Story, you're going to get a new, fresh take somehow. I don't know. When you have both of these competing huge franchises, unless Minions and Monsters is promising something that's really interesting, maybe it just couldn't muster the interest. It's really odd.
I don't know that any of the other Minions have necessarily offered anything really fresh and unique, and
but
yet
people
people
weren't tired
came
of them
out in
yet
droves.
either.
Yeah, so I'm like, maybe the novelty's wearing out. I don't know, Chris.
Minions fatigue?
Maybe. I mean, like, Chris, I don't know about you, but like when we started off the year, I looked out over the films coming out in the next 12 months, and we were trying to pick out which films had the potential to be billion-dollar films. And Minions and Monsters was one of the ones that I had on my list because, one, it looked good, and two, the history. Like, the track record is there. 30-something million is not great. What do you attribute this opening to?
Man, well, I've just always been fascinated with the success of the Minions. I try my best to get into when I watch them, and I'm just like, I have been in the room with children who watch it, and they are hypnotized by the Minions. It is such an interesting thing to see, like, how it locks them in. So here in particular, where it seemed like a huge kind of big drop off, looking at those numbers as you had them, 36. Comparatively to the last time, I actually tend to kind of agree a little with Rob, as much as because you just think, oh, it's a Minions movie, you're gonna watch it, but you're right. I don't think there was a hook this time around, and as weird as it might be, there was like a little fluff about like, well, this is a new group of Minions. This isn't your Kevin, your Bob, and
right.
I don't know. When you have a billion-dollar franchise, I actually do think there is some attachment, whether you like it or not, into these characters, and if you tell them this isn't even the group you're following, the Minions and Monster hook isn't even that appealing, maybe there is just a lack of like, what doesn't feel like it's my Minions anymore. It's the Minions for the new generation, and I don't know if they're liking Minions now.
I couldn't name a single Minion other than
Right?
Kevin. I think I
Same.
can name Kevin, and I think that's about it. But it's too bad because they showed us that big presentation at CinemaCon, and it looked delightful. I mean, So I don't know. For me, I'm going to write it. I think it's probably Death by a Thousand Cuts. You know, maybe
Okay,
it's partly
yeah.
Minion fatigue. Maybe it's something else. I'm going to mostly chalk it up to the Toy Story phenom right
Yeah.
now. But
Mhm.
I mean, I never would have guessed. I never would have guessed a $30-something million opening for it. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Minions and Monsters, sure, it opens at number 1, but it opens to $30-something million, by far the lowest opening weekend for anything in the Despicable Me universe, despite the fact that it looks pretty good. I don't know. Whatever you guys think about it, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right. With that down, guys, let's move on to this, shall we? Well, of course, Obsession is everybody's obsession right now. Everybody's talking about it and all this kind of stuff. And sure enough, you know, right after the movie came out, a lot of people started talking about whether the lead actress might have an opportunity to actually maybe get a Best Actress nomination. And you know what? It's one of those situations where I have now read her name a million times, but I've never heard it said. So I'm going to try taking a shot. Inde Navarrete or Navarrette?
Navarrette is the way I see it.
Navarrette?
Yeah.
Your way sounds better than mine. Anyway, we'll call her Inde for now. So that started going out there, and then I finally got around to seeing it, and I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot. And I could see it getting a Best Picture nomination. Well, it's not just the fans whispering it too, because as of right now, one of the big award season watch sites, Gold Derby, they put out their way too early Oscar nomination predictions, looking at what's out there and what is to come. And Obsession, they actually list it as getting a Best Picture nomination, a Best Actress nomination, and a Best Original Screenplay nomination on top of that. They're saying it's going to be one of the big players come award season. So as we start off here, we'll start off with their Best Picture. So they believe The Odyssey is by far, you know, it's got the number 1 chance of getting a Best Picture nomination at 93.9%. Project Hail Mary right behind it at a 93.6%. Digger has a 90% chance rating, they're saying, of getting a Best Picture nomination. Wild Horse 9, which I cannot wait to watch. Horse 9.
I know.
Oh my God, I'm losing my mind to watch this movie. John Malkovich, and just looks amazing. And then Fjord is one of the big ones. But remember, Best Picture is the one category that has 10 nominations. And so at number 6, they got La Bola Negra. They've got Dune Part 3. They've got The Debut. And in that top 10, they've got Obsession as getting one of the Best Picture nominations. And by the way, the other movie that I am now clawing at the woodwork to watch, The Invite, it's got like a 95+% critic rating and audience rating. It's getting massive feedback, and you're going to see The Invite get popped up here. Some of the outside chances, they got Behemoth, The Social Reckoning, All of a Southern Fatherland. You notice that Dune isn't on there? Oh no, there it is, number 7 spot. Okay. So, okay, thank God. Woo! Dune, number 7 spot. So they're saying it's going to get a Best Picture nomination as well. So let's go down and take a look at some of the other categories here as we fly by these ones that are like 70th. Let's get past that. Okay.
Is Poetic License the sequel to Poetic Justice?
That could be it. All right. For Best Director, they're calling Christopher Nolan for The Odyssey, Alejandro Inarritu for Digger, Martin McDonagh, who is amazing, for Wild Horse 9, Javier Calvo, I should say, and Ambrosi for La Bola Negra, and Christian Mungui, I think that's it, for Fjord. Under the Best Actress category, they're saying Julianne Moore for The Debut. Renee Redzev for Fjord. Inde is in there for Obsession. They got her in the number 3 spot. Then Michelle Williams for A Place in Hell. And Sandra Hüller, by the way, from Project Hail Mary for Fatherland. And this isn't the only time you're going to see her name on this list. This is kind of her year. Under the Best Actor category, they're saying Tom Cruise for Digger, John Malkovich for Wild Horse 9, Ryan Gosling for Project Hail Mary, Sebastian Stan for Fjord, and Matt Damon for The Odyssey. Under Supporting Actress, they're calling for Penelope Cruz for La Bola Negra, Mariana Di Girolamo I'm hoping I'm getting that right, for Wild Horse 9. Anne Hathaway for The Odyssey. Again, Sandra Hüller for Digger. And Parker Posey for Wild Horse 9. A lot of Wild Horse 9s in here.
Yeah.
Best Supporting Actor. They're calling Paul Giamatti for The Debut. John Goodman for Digger. Sam Rockwell for Wild Horse 9. Steve Buscemi for Wild Horse 9. And Edward Norton for The Invite. Now, where it gets really interesting is when you get into screenplay. So they're calling right now for adapted screenplay to be Project Hail Mary, La Bola Negra, The Odyssey, The Invite, again, and The Social Reckoning. In the original screenplay, they're calling for Wild Horse 9, Fjord, The Debut, Digger, and look at that. They got Obsession in there, which to me is interesting because when I gave a little fire, I never did a proper review for Obsession because I didn't see it in its opening weekend, but I kind of gave my thoughts during a fireside chat last week. And one of the things I said about it was, look, everybody's talking about Inde for Best Actress. And yes, as of right now, I think she would absolutely deserve a nomination for Best Actress. But I said, it's not the one I most think this movie should get. I said, the one I think it most deserves to get is screenplay. Because Inde's amazing in the movie. Absolutely. But she had gold to work with. Absolute gold to work with. So I was really happy to see it sneak in there with Obsession. By the way, the young guy lead from Obsession, he's on the Best Actor list as well, but he's in 20th. Probably unlikely that he'll get up and in there. Anyway, Chris, we'll start over with you.
Yeah.
What is out of these lists? Now remember, this isn't a lock. This is just Gold Derby. They're one of the big awards season outlets. But is there anything they're putting on their list that is standing out to you, that's surprising you a little bit, that you're really happy to see? What are you thinking?
Well, I mean, it's for sure coming to the Obsession inclusion of it all, because I think it just passed also 400 million at the worldwide box office.
Past Black Adam. Past Black Adam.
Insane. And my thing when I look at that is the movie in itself, I agree. I really liked it. I enjoy it. I think great performance by Inde. Sometimes when it comes to these Oscar noms, I wonder how much of that do you include the cultural impact? Because I think Obsession right now was probably the biggest new movie impacting culture. Do you think that's ever an actual factor that goes into these nominations? One, because I feel like that has some merit, but then you're attributing separate from the quality of the film. Aside from that, I love to see how the Digger is already, or just Digger is getting some buzz. I'm gonna actually be going to a trailer event where hopefully I get to meet Tom Cruise at that thing. But yeah,
that'd be pretty rad.
Yeah, it would, right? And so it's really just the obsession of it all. It's the little engine that it just keeps coming up every week in a new headline, nonstop. For me, that'd be the big one.
Rob, you see the list. What's jumping out at you? Any surprises? Any pleasant surprises? Something you're disappointed not to see? What are you thinking here?
Not really. Although, it is kind of weird to see movies that haven't come out yet on lists like this.
That's my thing too. It's some of these I haven't seen.
I mean, with Aaron Sorkin, you can make a good bet that he'll probably get a screenplay nomination, and the movie will probably get others. Look, I think that Obsession is one of those films that come along. It's a generational film for sure. Mm-hmm. And the impact that it had cannot be on the industry and on audiences cannot be denied. But I think that there's a lot of great movies. There's a lot of foreign films on the list, like Fjord, that I haven't seen, that I've been reading a lot of great things about. So I think the list is it's pretty legitimate. So I don't see, I have to see more of these movies to know whether there was glaring omissions or things that were not, that weren't worth putting on there in the first place. But, we're less than 2 weeks away from the Odyssey.
Mm-hmm.
And the more I hear about the Odyssey,
10 days from the Odyssey,
the more I think the movie's been misjudged. And I don't know, did we talk about this last week, but that I watched a video where, there was a screening, and there's been a lot of social media clips of everybody from the Odyssey being interviewed about it. And there was a scene when Tom Holland was talking about the practicality of everything that was done on the movie with Anne Hathaway. And he said, yeah, even the scene where everybody turns into pigs was done practically. And I'm like, we haven't heard about that yet, because the Odyssey is is a mythical story with gods and creatures, and I thought that we weren't getting mythology. I thought we were getting more of a grounded take, but apparently we are. There's a scene when people
Zendaya's playing Athena, so I mean,
yeah, I know, and I think that the online discourse over this movie has been, I think, a little unfounded lately, because I think we're going to get, I think the Odyssey might rapidly turn into the front runner for all the Oscars.
Well, look, but let's be clear here. The whatever minority but loud screaming controversy miners out there, they're doing that not based on anything with the movie. They're doing it based on their own pre-existing prejudices and their own agendas. Or like, now look,
sure, but
I may watch Odyssey and not like it. I mean, that may happen, but it's still. Now, I actually heard, I heard from somebody who was at an early New York press screening. And, I had a few people write to me to tell me about this too, and said there was like a 5-minute standing ovation from the critics. And call me jaded, I don't really care about that anymore. I hear about all these films getting standing ovations. Okay, great. That one group of people really liked it. That doesn't mean the rest of us will. But I've got a lot. I'll tell you the stuff that's really jumping out to me. A couple of things that are really pleasantly surprising to me. Besides the fact that Obsession is already getting such recognition, not just from, the Gus's gas station movie reviews.fart sites like mine, but out from places like Gold Derby and others. And so again, her getting some recognition, the screenplay getting recognition, saying it's got a shot, an outside shot, but still a good shot at getting a Best Picture nomination. I think that's great. But some of the other things that are really standing out to me are Wild Horse 9 already getting so much chatter. I love it because, all the previews we've seen for it, the presentation they gave for it, I just fell in love with everything about this movie. And I'm also really pleasantly surprised to see how much attention The Invite is getting, which you got Edward Norton, Penelope Cruz, Seth Rogen, and Olivia Wilde starring in and directing it. And I've been wanting to see Olivia Wilde return to that directorial form that she had when she did Booksmart, as opposed to what's the one she did with the One Direction kid? With Florence Pugh. Don't worry, darling. Yeah, I was so excited about that movie. I was so disappointed in it. So I'm hoping to see a return. So those are things that are standing out to me. But the question is for you guys. What's standing out to you? Are there some films on that list that you love seeing? Are there some films that you think are oddly missing from it? Are there some names you think should be up there? Whatever you guys think, jump down into the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? Well, speaking of indie, how did you say it again, Chris?
Navarrette?
Navarrette? I like the way you say it. I'm going to go with your way.
Scott said that's the way to say it too.
Oh, is it? Okay, there you go. I would have said just Navarrette, but Navarrette is not only in the news today because, she's being projected to get an Oscar nomination, but also for something maybe a little bigger as far as project-wise goes. In a recent interview, Inde has confirmed that she has met with Jake Schreier, who is directing the upcoming X-Men film, and also did the Thunderbolts, which was, I thought Thunderbolts was great, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what does with the X-Men. Also said she met with Michael Mann. A lot of people speculating that was for Heat 2. I heard it's not for Heat 2, but who knows? It very well could be. I heard it's not, but I'm not going to say one way or the other, because what do I know? But she is meeting with Jake Schreier, and in the same interview, while confirming that she has met with Jake, somebody followed up, says, so would you be open to being in a Marvel film? And she said, yeah, I'd be open to being in a Marvel film. So talking with that. So that's got a lot of people, of course, chatting and talking. Oh my God, she's going to be in the X-Men. Now, a couple of things need to be pointed out here. Okay. Very important. Number one, she did not say they talked about X-Men. Now, it's totally understandable to kind of think that that's probably what it was about. Completely understandable. I agree. That's probably what it was about. But we have to say, she did not say they talked about X-Men. For all we know, They talked about a project that he's planning on doing in 2 or 3 years after he's got the first X-Men film under his belt. For all we know, right? So let's be clear about that. Did not say she's in, because I've seen some other places running headlines already saying Inde Navarrette in talks for the next X-Men film. That's bullshit. That is not what she said. It could be what's happening, but we don't know that for sure. So let's put on our movie fan hats for a minute. Let's just, for the sake of this discussion, let's just say for the moment that she is talking with Jake about X-Men. Okay. She might not be, but just for the fun of the conversation, let's pretend she is. I have a very strong opinion about who I could see her playing. And, you know, X actor, X role, it doesn't matter. And this doesn't totally fit in because, Rob, I'm already expecting to see you recoil to this. All right. And I understand why. And I understand why. Because there is a problem when you think about it in the comics. She would be a great Kitty Pryde. She might be, I acknowledge she's not the right age. Not the right age. I totally get that. So that would have to be something that they rearranged a bit for the movie versions. They just say she's a bit older, whatever. But I think she would make a great Kitty Pryde. I'm seeing somebody in the live chat saying they could see her playing Psylocke. I don't see her as Psylocke at all. Yeah, I think
she came to mind for me.
Really? You thought Psylocke?
I just one of those. But yeah, keep going.
So, so for me, it would be, I think she'd make a great Kitty Pryde. I think Kitty Pryde obviously was a character that they did use in the Fox universe, but horribly underused. I mean, the best use they ever did with her was obviously for Days of Future Past. That was the best use they did for her, but I could totally see that. And listen, I've always said it's never a mistake to add talent. She's probably going to be an Oscar nominee this year. Adding her into something like X-Men right now would be completely huge. Anyway, Rob, you know, you saw this story. She has herself confirmed that she has sat down and met with Jake, although did not say it was specifically for X-Men, but that's what he's working on right now. So 2 questions for you. Number 1, do you think she's talking to them about X-Men? And then number 2, assuming she is for this discussion, who could you see her playing in an X-Men universe?
Well, I mean, I could see her. I think Kitty, I'm sure that she probably is talking to her or talking to Jake and just about everybody else. I mean, if her agents and her team are good, they would capitalize on this because she's become one of the most bankable female stars of her age that currently is working in Hollywood. So I think she's probably going to talk to, you know, as Gary Oldman would say, everyone. But if she was in the X-Men, I mean, she could play Ilyana Rasputin, you know, Colossus's sister. Magic.
She would be, actually, you know what? I like that. Magic's a good one. That's a really good one.
I know Magic can be blonde, but she can be blonde if she needs to be. I would imagine she could do some kind of a Russian accent, but she could also be, if the X-Men are going younger, she could be the White Queen. You know, she could be Emma Frost that January Jones played in X-Men First Class. I could see her, you know, there's something about her that could be regal. I could see her playing a more regal character. I mean, she's got interesting ethnicity. I don't know what her background is, but she can play. I think she has diversity in terms of who she could be. I could believe her as Russian. I could believe her as American. I could believe her as British. I could believe her maybe coming from having Latin roots or something. But I think that she can be incredibly versatile. But that was the first thing that struck me, was either Magic or Emma Frost, you know, something like that, because she certainly can do that.
What do you think, Chris? I guess the same 2 questions for you is like, number 1, do you think she's actually talking to them about X-Men? And then assume that she is for a second. Who are some names you could see her playing from the X-Men lineup?
I definitely see that she's probably in those conversations. Definitely seems like someone they want, given the star power she's recently gotten. I do find it interesting because I feel like, you know, this jump from like, breakout hit and then indie transitioning to a superhero role used to be something bigger. I don't know if that has some people might actually look at you and be like, is that where you want your career to go? Is that like where you think, because again, I feel like it doesn't hold as much power anymore to jump to a superhero role immediately, especially if she's in talks with people like Michael Mann for a role in a movie. But looking at who she could play, like looking at that photo, I see Mystique. I could see her in that blue
She could do that too.
paint.
Yeah.
And she had good facial range, you know, and I watched her in the Superman and Lois show, and now it's completely different from her role in Obsession. So it feels like she's got the range. I'd like to see how far it could go. And something like Mystique, I think it'd be cool. Immediately, I don't know why Psylocke was a name that popped in my head. I see you don't see it, but I mean, really, anybody. I mean, heck, just the small town kind of farm girl look from Superman and Lois. I think she could pull off the country accent with Rogue.
I mean, Rogue is one. I've seen a few people in the live chat throwing in the idea of Rogue. Here's the question I have about Mystique is twofold. One, do you think they might want to move away a little bit from Mystique because she was so front and center with Jennifer Lawrence in the last batch? And then the second, I wonder if they did do Mystique again, if they might lean into the other aspects of her, like, you know, the mother of Nightcrawler sort of angle. And if they did want to, you know, kind of explore that part where, well, not only was she the mother of Nightcrawler, she kind of raised Rogue and all that kind of stuff. Like, would they go with somebody a little bit older, or would they say, no, I'd worked with Jennifer Lawrence having a younger Mystique. Maybe they could do that and they could have her be that too. So that would work really well. I mean, the bottom line is she's clearly a very versatile actress. And I think she could probably nail whichever role they decided to have her play. So the question is for you guys, what do you think about this? I mean, what we know for a fact is that Inde has met with Jake, the director of X-Men, because she's confirmed that herself. Do you think it's talking about X-Men? And if so, just for fun, who could you see her playing? Whatever you guys think, jump down into the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? You know, it's not as big as it used to be, but it's still a very big deal for studios to take young adult novels, YA as they call them, and adapt them into feature films, hoping to turn them into franchises. Of course, we've seen huge, massive hits like Twilight and Hunger Games, and even what was that one with the dystopian future and the kids had to fight to the death, or I can't remember the name of it now. Anyway, so they've done a bunch of these things. Well, now there's a new one coming out called Children of Blood and Bone. But there's drama afoot over at Paramount, Kel Supri, where the author of the book, and I'm never going to pronounce her name properly. I'm going to give it a shot. Tommy Adeyemi. I'm sure I'm getting that wrong. My apologies if I've never heard it spoken before. So, where the author of the book is straight up saying she will not watch the movie, and saying that the whole process has been quote unquote painful. And it says this, as Tommy Adeyemi's 2018 young adult novel makes its way to the big screen, she has no plan to watch the first film adaptation of her work. The Children of Blood and Bone author recently addressed a fan's question about why she hasn't spoken more about the upcoming Gina Prince Bythewood helmed Paramount adaptation premiering on January 15th. The reason is, there is a reason I will not post anything about the adaptation of my work. That's all, she wrote in a DM that she shared on TikTok, but that's not where it ended. And lastly, since somebody asked, I have not seen the film and I will not watch it, added Adeyemi, who also co-wrote the film with Prince Bythewood. It's been painful holding this back from you all, and I'm sorry if any of you thought I didn't care about us more than any glitter. Goes on. She also shared a screenshot of a DM she apparently sent to, I always get this wrong, Amandla Stenberg, who was, of course, in The Acolyte, which is unfortunate, but she was also in, what is it? The Hate You Give, in which she was amazing in that.
Great.
Who plays Princess Amari in the film adaptation. This is what she said to her. Do not ever use my name in an interview or video again. Do not text me. Do not call me, she wrote to Stenberg. Deadline has also reached out to Stenberg's reps. And of course, then the dreaded, she blocked her on social media.
Oh.
The button that says 1,000 words. Okay. Besides the salacious nature of this, it's like, ooh, drama. There's some actual real, like, big issues around this. And like certain questions get brought up in my head. Like, well, wait a minute. If you're kind of a partner with the studio here, like you sold the rights for them to be able to make it. You co-wrote the script. Maybe you don't have to lie, but should you be coming out and bashing publicly and bad-mouthing this movie when you took the check? Like, you took the money and you smiled. And like, maybe you just don't say anything if there's something going on. Like, don't lie, but maybe you just don't say anything. Just don't, like, is there a contractual issue here where you're coming out and slamming and bashing this project that, I mean, let's face it, this is going to hurt the movie. This is absolutely going to hurt the movie. I don't know how much, but it's definitely going to hurt it. Having the author come out and slam you so clearly when she was so involved. Now, again, I don't want to sound like I'm passing judgment on her either, because for all we know, like, I don't know, Paramount executives broke into her house and killed her cats. And she's really upset, and she's legitimately is really mad and has legitimate gripes. That could be the case too. We are simply in the dark about it. We don't know. But, you know, all other things being equal, it feels kind of, I don't know, man, if you took the check, I think you've got an obligation to just stay quiet and let the movie play itself out. You don't have to come out and support it if you don't want to, but maybe just don't say anything. But again, I'm saying that from a position of ignorance because I don't know what the actual issues are. But clearly she feels very strongly. The other dynamic here, though, unfortunately, is this. Fair or unfair, right or wrong, there is a reality here, maybe unfortunate, that is any studio ever going to work with this author again? Like, is any studio, maybe they like a future book she writes or something like that, but they may recoil going, hey, listen, we just don't feel comfortable because if we get into some kind of dispute, you're going to go public and start bashing us publicly. And we don't know if we want to be in that kind of business. And again, let me double down on this. We are talking from a position of ignorance because we don't know what the actual issues are. We can only address and kind of speculate around what little information we actually have in front of us. And from the little bits of information we have in front of us, I got to tell you, I got to question the wisdom on her part of coming out and like seemingly attacking the actress and attacking the project as a whole, when I think this might be a bad move for her personally. Anyway, Chris, you saw this.
Yeah.
We don't often, this isn't the first time we've seen something like this, but it's certainly not often. What were your first impressions when you read through this? What are the first kind of questions or issues that come to your mind when you see this?
No, yeah, this was one of those movies that I was curious about because I had heard the CinemaCon buzz. I mean, I think you guys could speak to it more. I think there was a whole panel on that. And it sounded kind of exciting and interesting. I know nothing about it. And so when you see something like this arise, immediately you want to go into what happened. And it's very vague and there's not much on it. The only things I could pick up from the article is it definitely was something behind the scenes, I guess from the studio standpoint, that they couldn't just agree on. And she felt the need to walk away. And it is something that's like, because like you said, it's gonna hurt any chances she has in her other books, moving on with other studios, and something like this is only gonna also just hurt the fan base because once the author is no longer involved, that hurts the movie. And I guess it's more when we see the trailer how much has been changed, if we can note from any differences there, or if it literally just was something maybe so specific on it. You know, sometimes you never know how much with the creators, how much they hold precious the material, and when it has to be adapted into a movie, any little change, you know, hurts them. So to me, it's just sad to see.
Rob, you saw this again, not the first time we've seen something along these lines. Like it's certainly happened with Alan Moore. It's happened with others at times. This is a YA novel, though, where I think it's a little bit more sticky when the author themselves is kind of against it. I don't know. What's your takeaway from this when you look at the situation?
Well, here's the thing. You know, I always say it's not show friends, it's show business. And actually, I don't say that. I stole that, just to be clear, from Jerry Maguire, from Bob Sugar. The character of Bob Sugar said it, and I always liked it, and I said, that's true. The problem is, John, when somebody is going to buy your book, and presumably because it's a hit book, give you a lot of money, and then they're going to spend tens of millions of dollars on bringing that book to reality. You haven't just signed contracts for your book and your material. You're entering a covenant. You're now a business partner of Paramount and of the studio. I think that's implicit into signing a contract with a company, you know, and obviously we have seen the whole history of Hollywood is fraught with creative disagreements and creative peril. That's part of what you're doing, but you know that when you're signing away your material. Now, this is the first book in a series, and I would assume that Paramount was hoping to develop this series. And it's not only a series, but it's a series of books that has a specific, you're dealing with a Nigerian American author. She's bringing a lot of her own culture and background into this story. So there's a lot more to it than that as well. And I find kind of what you're doing here, because you're putting the studio itself, you're putting the people that made your movie, that paid you money, who have shelled out a lot of monetary. There's a lot of green spread out on this project. And by you doing this, you're flying in the face of all of the goodwill that is given to you and the money and the business of what you're doing. You immediately are going public with the beef that tarnishes the entire project. And what about everybody else working on this movie? What about the crew? What about the hundreds of people that are going to work on this film? Don't you owe them something? Or are you going to what about the director? Are you going to condemn them and everything that they've done before anyone's seen anything about this movie and the public is just left to speculate about what's going on? I think if nothing else, it's bad business. And I think, I don't know if it's actionable. I don't know what the studio would do, but I do know that you have an obligation, usually contractually, to promote a project. And I don't understand what is gained by this. And I feel for the crew, although we don't know what happened. She could have been egregiously wronged. And I'm willing to submit that could very well have happened. But, I mean, she's putting herself into a very precarious position, I would say.
Yeah, and again, just to repeat for the third time, it's something Rob was just alluding to as well. We could find out tomorrow what actually happened behind the scenes, and all of us would be like, forget all of it. F them. Like, she's 100% right. Like, we simply don't know. Again, we are only, speculating, commenting on what actual information we have. And on the surface, it doesn't look like a smart move at this point on several levels.
By the way, a little bit more background I'm seeing here. The book received one of the the young adult book received one of the most lucrative, the biggest YA publishing deals ever.
Wow.
Ever.
Yeah.
And it debuted at #1 on the New York Times bestseller list for young adults, and the novel received mostly positive reviews. Critics wrote about its examination of oppression, racism, and slavery, and the coming of age as the characters discover their abilities and see the world through their actions. It's considered quite an impressive feat. So this actually makes me excited to read the book, but I really hope it all works out. I just don't think that this kind of thing needs to be done in public.
All right, guys. Question is for you. What do you think about this? The author of the books is saying, not only am I not going to go see this, but she publicly said, I told the actress, don't text me, don't ever call me, don't ever use my name. Like, it's making it pretty public and pretty vitriol. Anyway, whatever you guys think about it, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? Well, we spoke a little bit earlier, or at least mentioned the fact that, of course, we've got Heat 2 coming, and we've known that for a while. And I honestly don't know if there's going to be a lot of people going to go see it, but it is one of the great films in the catalog of almost all film fans. And of course, Michael Mann coming back to do it again. Well, according to a story now, even though we've had a lot of whispers and a lot of reports about who is and who isn't going to be in it, apparently now it's confirmed that Christian Bale is going to be playing Al Pacino's character, and Leonardo DiCaprio will be playing Val Kilmer's character in the upcoming Michael Mann sequel. And on top of that, they're saying that Adam Driver is in final talks to play the villain of the film, and Stephen Graham, what was the name of the show he was just in, Adolescence?
Yeah.
That won all the awards. That
Robert De
Stephen
Niro?
Graham may be in talks right now to play the Robert De Niro character. So, but the ones we know right now are apparently Christian Bale and Leonardo DiCaprio. So they're the ones who are locked in right now, again, with Stephen Graham, Adam Driver, which would be just a world-class lineup. An absolute world-class lineup. I mean, it's already is with Leonardo DiCaprio and Christian Bale. Adding an Adam Driver, Stephen Graham would be huge to this as well. Yeah, you know what? I know this is the unpopular thing. I as of right now don't have any excitement for Heat 2. I'm like, Heat.
Not even with that cast.
Okay, the cast might be moving the needle a little bit, Chris. It might be moving the needle a little bit. I'm just like, for what it is, for what that original Heat movie is, it's practically perfect. And I don't know if I ever thought it needed to do the Godfather prequel, sequel sort of thing that they did with Godfather 2. And the fact of the matter is that 178 years have passed since Heat 1 came out. At least that's what it feels like. But to your point, Chris, yes, you start throwing in names like Stephen Graham and Adam Driver and Leonardo DiCaprio and Christian Bale and who knows who else. Yeah. Okay, maybe it's getting on my radar a little bit more. I don't. So, Chris, you saw these names popping up.
Yeah.
What are you thinking? Where's your excitement level right now for Heat 2, and what do you think about these names being added?
Oh, huge. These names make the movie, like, I need to see it now. I love me a good heist movie. And, you know, I definitely get your word, because I also, it's been so long. And the way the movie's going to work also, I'm thinking about like the relationships and dynamics with how much younger some of these characters are supposed to be and all that. Definitely has me like, okay, I wonder how they're going to pull that all in to come. But I can't deny this cast. I mean, these two sitting down, doing some performance and sort of highs, chasing one another again. I am really excited for this. Now, John, maybe you could help me out because I'm not sure. I was reading in the article, so some of these actors, big names that they wouldn't get their usual $20 million paycheck, and instead they'd be working for
Scale.
Scale. What does that mean?
Okay, so Rob, you've worked more with the unions on this. Like I've
Sure.
had to make a movie where I had actors working at scale. So it's look, really super simple. You're working for the minimum. But anyway, Rob, how would you define it more clearly?
You mean in terms of like, well, there's a thing called favored nations.
Yes.
Where all of the big actors are working for, they all agree to work for the same amount of money, all of the actors. I can, you know, there was talk on the how long it took to negotiate some of these deals in terms of scheduling, but in terms of money, I mean, this is one of the great casts ever, you know, of the modern age. I mean, it's so, and every one of these people demand just an incredible amount of money. Now, maybe I don't know, you know, we'll never know exactly maybe what the deals were, but I would think that if they all agreed to make it some kind of, now when I say favored nations, they're not working for scale.
No, and to be clear here, I just want to highlight they're talking about like the non-leads. So here's the
Mhm.
paragraph Chris is referring to here.
Yeah.
Word on the street is many actors will be working for scale or way less than they would normally quote. At least the non-leads, though that is not likely for DiCaprio, who is still probably demanding his standard 20. So yeah,
okay.
DiCaprio ain't coming in there for like $800,000
Yeah,
on the weekend. You know what I'm saying?
Although I can imagine that there might be, for these lead actors, they've all agreed this is probably going to be Michael Mann's last film. I would
Mhm.
imagine. Basically, he's getting up there in age. This is based on a book he co-wrote with a
Yeah.
woman named Meg Gardner, and Shane Salerno's group was involved in this. And I think that these actors, wouldn't they get together, to work with a
Yeah.
guy like Michael Mann? And obviously you're going to get what you can, when you can, how you can. But in this particular case, the budget came down. I think when Warner Brothers had it, it was over $200 million. And they couldn't make it work. Now they've said it's at MGM and Amazon now. And they got the budget down to $170 million, and it's globetrotting and all of that. The actors might have all agreed to work for a certain amount. And that would be where the budget came down.
Mhm.
It might have been an intractable thing. Like, we can't justify spending this much money. And, if an actor, can you imagine? Oh my God, you have to take your $20 million quote and bring it down to 15 million. Gosh. But,
Oh, the hardships.
Yeah.
But depending on how much they wanted to work together, because I'm sure, actors aren't just mercenary. Their people are mercenary. That's what they're paid to do. But actors sometimes want to work together. Like, I don't know if DiCaprio and Adam Driver have worked together before. But, you might have, I don't remember off the top of my head, but you might have, they probably worked in some giant thing I'm missing. But the actors want to get together and work this kind of an ensemble. If this movie works, it could achieve the kind of classic status that Heat did. It could wind up being Gladiator 2, but you never know.
Yeah.
And I think that there's a good reason to do a movie like this. I mean, Michael Mann, and what's really cool? Jerry Bruckheimer's a producer on it. And Jerry Bruckheimer produced Michael Mann's first feature film, Thief, from 1981. And I love that movie. I have a great passion for that. James Caan. It's another crime thriller. If you've never seen it, it's amazing. And it's cool to see them getting back together, because they're both getting up there in age, but it's like coming full circle for the two of them to work together again. So I'm stoked for this, dude. Whoever gets paid what, I don't care. I just want to see this movie.
But let me ask you guys this question. Even at 100, let's say they get down to 170, $160 million. They spend about $70 million promoting it. You're now looking at a film that's got to make around $400 million to probably break even.
I know.
Look, Kate, our love for the original all aside, is Heat 2 something that's going to make $400 million at the box office? I have my doubts.
It's the Top Gun Maverick of Heat movies, dude.
Yeah.
But come on, but it's not Top Gun. That's the thing. It's not Top Gun.
It's not. But sometimes there are these situations where, like, the right amount of cast and buzz and prestige around it will, but it is a long shot, like you said. But to me, this is one of those beauties of streaming, because like you said, Warner Brothers was not willing to do it because of that cost. Streaming, we've seen it with Martin Scorsese's The Irishman, and now with MGM and Amazon here. Like, to me, this is one of, you'll get your Electric State every now and then, but projects like this, I'm like, yes, go ahead and pork up the 300 mil or whatever to give us something like this.
But to your point about Scorsese's The Irishman, remember what happened after Irishman? Yeah. Martin Scorsese was having a hard time getting anybody to being willing to put up the money that he wanted for his next projects after that, because The Irishman
didn't do it.
It cost it. They lost money on it. I mean, so it's going to be interesting. But look, all that being said and aside, I'll be there opening day to see this. I mean, I can bring up all my doubts and all my reservations and apprehensions, but the reality is all three of us are going to be there opening day. So anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Apparently it is now confirmed that Leonardo DiCaprio and Christian Bale have signed up for Heat 2 with like guys like Adam Driver, Graham, like all these guys possibly also being in line. This could be one of the great casts of any movie we've got coming up. Are you interested in seeing it? Do you think the general movie-going audience is still going to remember the original film and want to come back? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? You know, for all the wrong reasons, Sony's been in the news a lot lately.
Yeah.
You know, you want to be in the news. You don't want to be in the news for the wrong reasons. And everything Sony has been doing lately has just gotten them into trouble. Like everything from the fact that they just had what was the name of the UK Sky TV or whatever it was in the UK that they lost their license with. So that meant that a lot of people who have Sony accounts on PlayStation and have bought episodes of television or some movies, they bought them. They're gone now. Just gone. Too bad. So sad. Then Sony came out and said, well, you know what? Starting in a year or two, we're not going to make physical discs anymore. And I get it. I do. I understand it. I get it. And the trend of people actually buying physical discs has been dropping, but there's an important aspect to being able to buy and own those physical discs. And now Sony's saying, nope, those are going to be gone now. Well, that's got a lot of people upset. So much so that people have now been looking into the terms of service of Sony and buying movies and buying TV shows and your games, whatever, through the PlayStation platform. And they've discovered that within the terms of service, Sony reserves the right to delete your account. And that includes anything you've bought, movies, episodes of television, seasons of TV, games, of course, if you're not logged in after 3 years. Now, understandably, some people are very, very upset about this, and I get that, but I do want to make sure, because you're seeing a lot of things. Sony says they're going to delete things. Okay, before I dive into it, though, I want to bring up a couple of things that are important to keep in mind, some context for this, okay? Number one, this is not new. This has actually been there in their terms of service for a while. It's just being highlighted right now because of all the other stuff going on with Sony, deleting content, saying they're not going to put out physical things anymore, so you're going to have to rely on them digitally. But this has been there already. Second piece of context, Sony's not the only one that has this. Apparently, Xbox also has this in their terms of service. So that's an important thing to keep in mind as well. Another thing to keep in mind about this is that the way it's written is that if you haven't logged on in 3 years, the day the clock strikes midnight and it's 3 years, they don't just delete your content. What happens is they have to legally notify you first that, hey, you haven't logged in your thing in over 3 years, according to our terms of service. And on top of that, once you get notification, you will then be given a 6-month grace period. So again, I'm not saying that changes it. I'm just saying it's important when we discuss this to have all the information. Number one, this isn't something new. Number two, Xbox has this as well. And number three, it's not like, oh, I just forgot about my PlayStation account and they just snuck in behind my back and deleted it. No, they will give notification to you about it. And then once notification is given, you got 6 months to kind of log in and all that kind of stuff. Again, I'm not saying that changes anything, but we at least should be addressing it fairly. Okay. That being said, this is just another straw on the proverbial camel's back. Do I think this is a particularly huge deal? I actually don't think this specific issue of after 3 years of inactivity, you'll get a notification. After the notification, if you still haven't logged in after 6 months after that, they delete your stuff. Do I think they should do that? No. Do I think it's a massive issue? Also no, because if you haven't, you just got to log in. I mean, if you haven't logged in after 3 years and then they notify you to remind you and 6 more months pass and you still don't log in, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. It's clearly not that important to you, but I still don't think they should be able to do it. So I think it's a smaller issue, but it's a smaller issue that is now being piled up on top of an ever-growing pile of issues that we have here. Between the fact that they're deleting content that you bought, and now saying they're moving towards a system where that's the only option you're ever going to have, and now saying that, hey, yeah, you may have bought it, but listen, to me, whether I log in after 3 years or not, I still bought the damn movie from you. I still paid you $19.99 or $29.99 or $15.99 or whatever. I paid that to you. It's mine. Whether I log in or not is none of your damn business. I bought it. I bought it. Again, I'm not trying to make a mountain out of a molehill. That's still another thing. I heard this analogy being given the other day, and I wanted to bring it up here. There is a saying that goes around online right now that's become very popular that says, if buying isn't owning,
then pirating isn't stealing.
Pirating isn't stealing. And while that is a very self-serving kind of flippant thing to say, there is truth to it. Because here's the analogy I heard somebody say the other day on YouTube, but they said this. This has happened. There are laws about this. It has happened many times where somebody buys a house, only then later to find out that person didn't have the right to sell the house to you in the first place. And when people do that, it's called fraud. And people go to jail when that happens. Sony, for a lot of the movies and TV shows they have on their platform, Sony does not own those movies or TV shows. They have a license to them. And yet they represent that they are selling those movies or TV shows to you. Now, I understand, well, in the terms of service, selling means this. I get it, but they represent to us that they are selling us this content. If we were talking about a house, they should go to jail for that, because they are selling something to you, like in the example of the Studio Canal stuff, that they don't own the stuff. They don't have the right to sell it to you because it's not theirs. And thus it gets taken away in a whiff. There needs to be laws. I said this the other day on the show. There needs to be consumer protection laws that protect us from stuff like this. But the idea of us buying a piece of content from them, and again, let me be clear. I've been collecting digital media for over a decade. Never happened to me once. Never happened to anybody I know personally either. But it is happening out there. And there are precedents being made that could lead to real problems if people don't start passing laws to protect people. Here's an option. All right, Sony, you want to sell me a movie? Okay, so you sell me, Obsession. Now that it's out. Let's say I go into, PlayStation, I buy Obsession. Okay, fine. You want to sell that to me for $20? Fair enough. But if you ever take it away from me, you got to give me my money back. That doesn't seem far-fetched. I'd even be willing, as a consumer who understands that, hey, there are licensing issues, and if I want to use PlayStation as my platform to buy the movie, there could be some caveats. Okay, I'm even okay. And I don't know what you guys would think about this. Tell me what you think. If a my favorite third-party platform, whether it's Xbox, PlayStation, Roku, Apple TV, iTunes, whatever. You want to sell me a movie that doesn't belong to you? Okay. So here's the contract then. You add $1.99 to the price. So instead of $15, you charge me $16.99. Fair enough. That $1.99 is to give you a little something for administrative nightmares and costs and things like that. But if for whatever reason the company that owns Obsession says they don't have a license with Sony anymore, and you take that movie away from me that you gave me, you have to pay me the $15 back. You can keep the $1.99 for the administrative costs and all that kind of stuff. I accept that, but you should pay me back, because this is the part that's killing me. The idea that I sold it to you and now I am taking it away. It's the same anger I get when I buy an expensive piece of gear and it doesn't function and the place refuses to do anything about it. Because that to me is the same thing. That to me is, you stole my money then. If you gave me a defective thing and you're not going to do anything to fix the problem, you stole that money from me. So again, the whole 3-year thing in and of itself, not a huge issue because it's up to me if I don't want to log in for 3.5 years, even after they notify me. But it's still an issue to me and they still shouldn't do it. And it's just another thing climbing on here. So anyway, Chris, I don't know if you're a PlayStation guy or an Xbox. I got a PlayStation out there. I got a bunch of stuff on it. I don't buy my movies or TV shows on it, but I still have a bunch of stuff on it. I don't know. Is this a nothing burger? Is this yet just another symptom of a bigger disease? Big issue, small issue? And what are some of the dangers and pitfalls we see coming out of this? What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's like you were saying 6 months ago, I would have told you that's a nothing burger, a little mini clause in there because you didn't think of it. But now people, like you said, are reading into these terms of service now because that is the future. That is where we're headed. And that's what the terms of service looks like now. Come January of 2028, they're probably going to update and tweak some of those things more because now that's going to be the standard. So it's like that's what it looks like now when the clause was minuscule, small, and like maybe only a few people affected. How is that going to grow and change? And, you're talking about all these licenses and things and ownership from other studios. I really hate to like suggest this, but to me, it only sounds like the solution is go Netflix with games and Sony runs their own thing where you just pay monthly and then there you go. There's your excuse. You could play your games as long as you have a subscription, things like that. I'm not saying that's what I would want, but there is going to be eventually some sort of pitfalls. There's going to be something, like you said, that breaks the camel's back where someone is going to be dumb enough or smart enough to sue or try to take action against us, even though it's a thing in the terms of service, because it is, you can't just sell something and then take it away when you want without any sort of repercussion. So there is going to have to be some sort of solution to this. And we're going to have to, I don't know about a law being made or not. I mean, we're seeing how slow these laws are coming up with AI, but that's also how fast things are changing with that. It's kind of hard to pinpoint something down. To me, it's sad, and it makes me more understanding now why people of my age are going back to their like PlayStation 2, buying one off Craigslist, and then because it's just popping in the game and I play it. There's just something less frustrating about that. It's more secure and I own it and no one can take it away from me.
Yeah. Like for those of you who watch our show for any period of time, like Rob and I specifically are very hardcore against piracy. I mean, again, we saw it directly affect somebody very close to us with John Schnepp and how people pirating his film very near, like without exaggeration, Rob, it very nearly destroyed him. It nearly ruined him financially and destroyed him and all that kind of stuff. So we see what piracy actually does. But going back to that little flippant, catchphrase, if buying isn't owning, then pirating isn't stealing. Listen, if you bought a movie for $20 or $10 or $15, whatever, on Sony, and then they suddenly stole it away, if not legally, then I think ethically and morally, you have a right to pirate that damn movie. I mean, because you fulfilled your end of the social contract. You bought it. You paid for it. And the system was constructed itself in such a way that allowed them to just take it away from you without reimbursing you the money you paid. And again, let me emphasize, I'm not saying legally it gives you the right, but I think morally and ethically, yeah, I believe at that point, damn right, you can pirate that. But I don't know, Rob, that maybe I'm just overreacting to it. What do you think about this whole situation? What's standing out to you here?
Well, I mean, no, it seems like nobody wants us. The future of humanity is we're not going to ever own anything. And I think that's what people want. That's what the tech oligarchs really want from us, that we're in perpetual debt to constantly pay subscription prices or whatever, and we don't own anything. And I find that a little disconcerting because I like the idea of ownership. I mean, I had an example I think I brought up earlier where I had a piece of software that I bought 6 years ago that I used every day. And one day I came to use it and it had turned into a subscription model. And so the software I had in my computer was altered. It was an update downloaded, and suddenly in order to use this piece of software, I had to now pay a subscription. I had to pay either another $600 for the year.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
or a monthly fee. And I'm like, wait a minute, I already bought this piece of software. When I bought this piece of software, of course, to be fair, I didn't look into the terms of service. But all of a sudden, in order to continue to use it, I have to shell out more money. And that seemed very unfair considering I bought this understanding that I was paying for a piece of software, a one-time fee. And then they went and altered that 6 years later. Well, how are you supposed to run a life if we have to worry wherever we're looking that we're going to constantly, oh, one day all these things I thought I bought are gone, or suddenly I've got to pay twice as much for the same thing? I get it. Everyone wants, it's late stage capitalism, and I am a capitalist. I get all that. But at the end of the day, how do you lead your life not knowing? You know, one day we all have to deal with the fact that one day we're going to wake up. I mean, it seems kind of silly. We're talking about PlayStation here, but
It's
everything
a canary in a coal mine, though.
You're exactly right. That's what it is. And the fact that PlayStation has such an installed, they can get away with it because they're that big. PlayStation's huge, and they're doing this. You know, you find this out just on the verge of Grand Theft Auto 6, probably the greatest, or it's certainly going to be one of the most popular video games of all time, but it's certainly the most expensive video game ever made. Sony got to figure out how they're going to pay for all this. So yeah, we're going to up our fees and change whatever we have to do to make some extra bucks. We need more coin for the realm. And I don't know, man.
I remember there was a situation, and I feel bad if I'm saying the wrong piece of software, but there was a video editing piece of software. I believe it was CapCut. And again, I might be thinking of the wrong piece, but there was a big kerfuffle about this last year because for a long time, I think it was CapCut, where you could buy a lifetime license to it. You bought a lifetime license to it, and it said, you know, you can get all free updates and all that kind of stuff, and you have a lifetime license for it. And then, like sometime last year, they introduced a new subscription model, and they killed everybody's lifetime purchase. No, you got to and it's like, you know, see, at that point, to me, pirate it. Like, just you bought it with a lifetime license, and they reneged. It's yours. You should just be able to pirate it. But I don't know. I'm sure this is not the last we're going to be able to have to talk about stuff like this. But anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? On top of everything else, from getting rid of physical discs to deleting, you know, TV shows and episodes and movies that they no longer have a license to, that you clicked a button that said purchase. And now this thing that says they can just go in and delete your account with all of your purchase content in an era, guys, where video games cost $80 to $100 to buy. They can just delete them if they want. I don't know. Whatever you guys think, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. By the way, I see somebody in live chat saying, John, no talk about House of the Dragon. We just had too much stuff to talk about. We'll probably talk about House of the Dragon tomorrow.
But oh my God, John.
Oh my God. I loved the episode of House of the Dragon so much, but we'll talk about it tomorrow. All right, guys, we're running over time, but we do have one more topic that we need to discuss here, and that is this. Well, I mean, yeah, Supergirl's a disaster. You know, it failed on every level. It failed to be a good movie. It failed to present itself to the audience in such a way to make anything at the box office, had a pretty low opening weekend. So we had a bit of a question coming into this weekend about, well, how big of a drop will it have? And the utter complete disaster continues as Supergirl has taken one of the biggest second weekend drops in comic book movie genre history, with an almost 75, as of right now. Some are saying the number could go higher, but as of right now, the official number is still close to 75% second weekend drop off. Guys, that doesn't happen often, especially with a movie that already made so little. Like every once in a while, you'll get a movie that made $190 million opening weekend, and it could take a 70% drop because everybody's already seen it. Nobody saw Supergirl. And it wasn't good enough that it deserved to have people go see it. It just unfortunately didn't. And so we are in this situation now where Supergirl just tanked harder than we even thought it's possible that it could. Because as we go over and take a look at this chart, Supergirl just took get this, 74% drop. That makes it the third biggest drop in the history of comic book films. That is a bigger second weekend drop than Morbius. It's Morbin time. It's a bigger second weekend drop than The Flash, which I still contend I think that movie deserved better. But at any rate, The Marvels beat it out with a 78.1% drop, and Joker Folie à Deux, of course, the biggest drop in one of the biggest drops in the history of film, not just the comic book genre. But at 81.4%, Supergirl takes a 74% drop. And again, this has to be emphasized. It's not just the drop. It's the fact that it dropped that much after not making that much in its first week. As of right now, Supergirl worldwide is hovering around $100 million. I mean, we're living in a world where Spider-Man Brand New Day is going to make more money on its opening day than Supergirl does in its entire theatrical run. Let me say that again. Everybody knew Spider-Man Brand New Day was going to be a bigger movie, but Spider-Man Brand New Day is probably going to make more money on its opening day worldwide than Supergirl will in its entire theatrical run. Look, guys, I don't like revisiting stories of failure. Like when I hate a movie, I do a review about it. I say I hated it, and then I move on and I don't talk about it again. I might bring it up in a conversation about something else if it's comparable, but I'll never make another, like I won't make 8 videos about why this movie sucks part 1, why this movie sucks part 2.
Yeah.
That's just rage baiting. But this is its own story. A second weekend drop off of around 75%. Again, the third biggest drop in comic book movie history. And unlike, to me, The Flash, which I thought deserved better, I can't say Supergirl deserved any better. It was a movie, and notwithstanding that article, I think it was the Hollywood Reporter put out about the fight behind the scenes. That actually happens with a lot of movies. It just never gets talked about if the movie ends up being fine or okay or good. It's when it's a high profile movie that utterly fails that all these negatives start to get highlighted a lot. And I can only imagine how bad the original cut of the film must have been for the movie that gets released in theaters to still be that bad. So again, listen, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say something that nobody's going to agree with, and that's okay, because it's often lonely being right. So I'll say it anyway. They should have Batgirled this movie. They should have Batgirled the movie. Why? Because the reputational damage you have now done to your brand new and fledgling cinematic universe. You had a triumphant entry with Superman. You needed a good follow-up to start to undo the damage of the DCEU. This is a movie when it became clear to them 8 months ago that this movie was not working. You should have mothballed it. You should have said what you said with Batgirl. This does not live up to our standards. We thought it had potential, but we realize it doesn't work. And it will do more damage to us by putting this movie out than it will do if we just shelve it and make Clayface the next movie we have come out. It would be a bad look, for sure. It's a bad look. You scrap a movie that you've already shot. It's a bad look. But sometimes that is a far better outcome, just a bad look, and you eat the financial loss, than the fact of the matter is the poorness of Supergirl is going to cost them money in other movies now. And I think this is one they should have mothballed. Anyway, Rob, I don't think any of us ever foresaw, none of us thought Supergirl was going to be $1 billion film, but I mean, none of us, I think, saw it opening as kind of as little as it did, let alone like a 75% second weekend drop. You see this, we're not going to re-review the whole movie at this point, but I mean, we've seen terrible, terrible, terrible movies take a much smaller percentage drop than this. What do you attribute this big drop to?
This movie's not fun. I mean, ultimately, no, it's not fun to watch. a movie that, look, you think about the Supergirl TV series with Melissa Benoist. That was fun to watch. You know, and here's a movie where, look, I get the impulse to make your character a recognizable, relatable teen girl that is suffering from trauma. But maybe not do that in a Supergirl movie. And I think that at the end of the day, you're expecting there has to be some kind of a moment where a character goes through a crucible and comes out transformed on the other side. But this Mad Max, you know, the brigand storyline that it tells, that it borrows from Tom King's comic, at the end of the day, you have a girl that's already troubled, and at the end of the movie, she flat out murders someone. And if the guy needed murdering or whatever, sure, probably he did. But at the end of the day, what does that say about, do you think Supergirl's not going to wake up in 5 years and feel good about what she did? What she did was she compounded her own generational trauma with something else that's traumatic, in that she murdered a dude with her bare hands. And I would imagine that this was the first time she ever did that. You know, and I think back to something like Unforgiven, when Clint Eastwood, when Will Money is talking to the Schofield kid about killing someone. And the Schofield kid, you find out that he never killed anyone until he killed that guy sitting on the crapper. And he took his own life. And the Schofield kid can't deal with it, because killing somebody is not something you easily can get over, especially when you come from a planet where your entire civilization has perished. And at the end of the day, watching this movie, why should anybody sit there and watch this? At the end of the day, what does it say to your audience? I mean, look, I've done 3 shows about this movie, and I don't understand how it got made. I don't understand how they went in the direction they went in. But at the end of the day, for a big summer tentpole superhero movie, if you can't walk out of that film with a smile on your face, you failed.
Chris, you I mean, you've seen the film.
Yeah.
We saw how it performed opening weekend. We're now seeing like a 75% drop. And by the way, this is not the worst comic book movie. Like I think this is I don't think this is on the level. Like I think it's above that triumvirate from Sony of Morbius, Craven, Madam Web. Like it's better than that. It's still bad. It's still a bad film. So I don't know why do you think this movie took like a 75% drop when there are other even worse movies that didn't? I don't know. What do you attribute to this?
I just, again, it's that superhero fatigue that we're saying that's been plaguing for the last couple of years. And if now it feels like you need your movie to at least be that excellent mark to just even be considered good now, because of just the wide array we've had. And this, unfortunately, to me, falls under the mediocre average. So it gets hit even harder now because we're just sick of that. And we want a reason to go out. To me, what is highlighting more from all of this, it's so funny finally hearing one of those wild John Campea takes it on a live show. You know, I'm usually on the other side hearing you going, oh, that John. And now I'm here. I got to hear it. But like, you know, to me, I'm so glad it came out, even if I didn't enjoy the movie as much. But it is for sure that Hollywood Reporter article, which you are mentioning, stuff like that happens all the time. We just don't hear about it. Studios wanting, you know, things changed up. Audience scores aren't where they're like. But because James Gunn does so much talking online that, you know, sometimes I wish he wouldn't. He just talks such a big game of his universe. And now now it's highlighting, you know, some of the weaker aspects. And it's like you mentioned, James either has to be directing or he has to be studio heading behind writing the film to where it needs to go, because now this puts into question, you know, the other projects he has up and coming. Because if this is what he deemed quality, passable from a script point of view, from, you know, getting it made to it coming out, it definitely already starts to sour some of the outlook that you have. Not in complete doom. I still think there's exciting things on the horizon. Very excited for Man of Tomorrow, but that to me was kind of just like, man, it's really making me look at James Gunn, where I think he might not re-up. I know you say because of the Paramount stuff, which totally could be not. To me, I just might think he thought he could do it. Kevin Feige made it look easy. He got to doing it. It's not that easy. Gonna wash his hands clean once that contract is up.
I still want to keep this in context, though. I do want to keep it in context as much as like we're dumping on Supergirl as a project. The reality is they're 1-1 now. Superman was a huge win for them. Supergirl not. Lanterns looks really good. Clayface looks amazing. So like if, and we're going out on a limb here, but like if Lanterns is good, because it is HBO, and look what happened when they did Penguin. So it is HBO. And if Clayface even comes out to be 60 or 70% as good as it looks, then we're going to be talking about, okay, they're 3 out of 4, right? We're 3 out of 4. So I don't want to like jump too far ahead, but you raised the big issue. It concerns me that James Gunn, who did not write this, and and I'm no James Gunn hater. Everybody knows I'm a huge James Gunn fanboy. I'm a huge James Gunn fanboy. But as a James Gunn fanboy, it is concerning to me that he looked at that script and said, yes, this is our standard of excellence, because that script was weak. And the same person who wrote that script is also writing the Wonder Woman project and apparently a Teens Titans project, another project they should not be doing, by the way. But, and it's like, does she have pictures of you with a goat? I just go, because it's not like this was a person, she didn't have some big, huge, like glamorous resume of great work she's done in the theatrical. It's like, it's practically empty. And you gave her a huge project like Supergirl. And before that movie even came out, you got them working on Wonder Woman and on Teen Titans. And it's like, okay, this is it. So again, a year from now, we could be looking at this DCU as 3 out of 4. Superman was great. Lanterns was great. Clayface is great. Supergirl was their big miss. Hopefully that's the case, but I don't know, man. It's hard to look at a project like this that should have been mothballed and not feel a little less enthusiastic about where things are going. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Supergirl is now officially the record holder for the 3rd biggest second weekend drop in the history of the comic book genre. I can't say I'm completely surprised, but if you told John Campea of 3 months ago, I would have been completely surprised. Whatever you guys chalk this up to, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. That will wrap up our time today with one Mr. Robert Meyer Burnett and Chris Parker of 3C Films. Great having both of you guys on here. Of course, as always, we'll talk to both of you again soon, I hope.
Yeah.
100%.
All right, guys.
You have me.
We'll talk to you guys later. Have a good one, dudes.
All right.
All right, guys. With that all down now, it is time for us to move on to taking your live comments and questions. You guys have been firing in a bunch of questions. I am going to turn off the super chats now because there are already more in there than I was anticipating there being. So the super chats, just so you know, are now officially, there we go. They are turned off. And we will, of course, now get around to the questions that you guys have already sent in. So let's get things started here, shall we? And I think we're going to start off with Sin Vendetta, I believe. Yes, and Sin Vendetta writes, congratulations to Obsession, 403 million for making more than one Black Adam. We were talking about that a little bit earlier at the worldwide box office. Yeah, this little movie just keeps chugging along, man. Now, and again, to me, crossing the $400 million mark for a movie that was made this small is already notable. But the big thing to me was when the other day we talked about this, it actually passed Sinners, which I think was, now I don't think Obsession is as good as Sinners, but I do love Obsession. I thought Sinners was the best film of the year last year, and Obsession passed Sinners. That's crazy. I mean, to me, that's like the most notable thing on there, more important than crossing 400 million. The fact that it passed Sinners, I thought was pretty crazy. All right. Let's see here. Next up, Al writes, do you think Moana remake could hurt Minions 3 legs at the box office? Minions 3's opening weekend wasn't great. Yes. Yeah. Because even though the new Moana isn't live action, it's yet another very popular family fare. And listen, we're going to have Toy Story 5, Minions and Monsters, and the live action Moana all in theaters at the same time. I'm not sure that was the best scheduling. So yeah, now look, I don't expect Moana to be huge. I really don't. I hope it is. I hope it's good, but I don't expect it to be huge. But yes, I do think Moana is going to hurt Minions and Monsters even more with the small opening that it had. All right, next up. Wild World of Wrestling writes, if Lanterns and Clayface are both successful and well received, and Man of Tomorrow is a big success, will that help DCU after Supergirl's underperformance? Absolutely. Winning cures everything. Like, in as much as I dump on Supergirl, the reality is it's one project. It's one. And just like when Superman came out and was this huge triumph, huge critic scores, huge audience scores, made more money at the box office than the previous 7 DCEU movies, I said it's not mission accomplished. It is just one movie. It's an important movie and it's a good start, but it's not mission accomplished, right? You're off to a good start. That's what it needed. Now move forward. In the same way, one big, huge miss like Supergirl is also not the end of the game. It's one miss. What's the DCU is going to be judged over the course of 4, 5, 6 projects, not 2. Because even at 2, they're 1-1. They're 1-1. So yes, if Lanterns is great, and these are big ifs, and if Clayface is great, and if Man of Tomorrow is on the same level as Superman, then yes, Supergirl will be a forgotten, unpleasant memory. But Supergirl, while it did not sink the ship, it killed a lot of the momentum that Superman gave the new DCU. And now they got to rebuild that momentum. It would have been better to be 5 of 5 than 5 of 4, but still, yes, if Lanterns, Clayface, Man of Tomorrow are all really good, then yes, then everything's fine. But now that's even more important that those projects be really good because Superman was such a miss. All right. Let's see here. Where are we at here? We are now at, that was Wide World. Jay Toven writes, Gunn and Gillespie weren't aligned creatively per The Hollywood Reporter. Yeah, we talked about that a little bit. And that is, honestly, that's on the head of the studio. I talked about that with Kathleen Kennedy, that one of the main things that you got to be as the head of the studio is make sure that the people you're bringing on as your writers and directors are creatively aligned with you. And if they're not, that's on you. And if that's the case, then that's on Gunn. It is. He's the head of the studio. He has to make sure whoever he's bringing in to direct something before he brings them on 100% knows that they're creatively aligned. And if that wasn't the case, then that's on Gunn. And again, understand when I say that, I'm not some brain dead, just Gunn hater. I am a huge James Gunn fanboy. And I am saying that's on Gunn. That's his responsibility as the head of the studio. So if that's the case, I'm sure Gillespie might have not done some of the things he was supposed to do or whatever. Doesn't matter. The head of the studio, it's your responsibility to make sure you're creatively aligned. And if you're not, don't bring them in as a director. So that's got to be on James Gunn. All right, next up. Artificially Stupid Intelligence writes, John, we need to tell more people that they are legally allowed to back up their games and movies on PC. No, they are not. That's wrong. I don't know why most people don't say this. Burn the image on the discs, same shit, put it on your own server. No, it's technically speaking, to the best of my knowledge, that is not true. It is not legal to break copy DRM on discs. It's not legal. It gets a little bit more iffy with games because games is considered software. So it's a little bit more iffy there. And remember, I'm saying this as a non-expert on DRM law, but you are not technically legally allowed to break digital rights management on a disc. You should be. You 100% should be. You should 100% be allowed to take a disc that you bought and make a digital copy on your personal server for safekeeping as a personal backup. You should 100% be allowed to do that. But no, just be clear. You are not legally allowed to circumvent and break digital rights management on a disc. You should be, but you're not, to the best of my knowledge and from what I understand. All right. Next up, we've got, where'd that go? Give me a second here. I just lost what I was doing. Let me try this. Oh, that's better. There we go. Okay. Thank you. Jai CSC writes, saw a trailer for Illumination's Not Alone. I can't think of a trailer that builds up that much intrigue only to demolish it in the final 30 seconds. I don't know, man. I knew nothing about Not Alone. I thought the trailer was great. I really did. I mean, obviously there were going to be aliens involved. The name of the movie is Not Alone, but I think it looked way super sweet. I thought it looked totally charming. And you know what? For me, the trailer worked. I'm really looking forward to seeing it. I think it's going to work well. At least I hope so. All right. Next up, Raymond Rada sends in a $20 super chat. Thank you, Raymond, for supporting us in that level, man. Appreciate that, dude. And Raymond writes, today is the Papal Bull game between Portugal and Spain. In 1493, Pope Alexander VI granted Spain all lands west of Cape Verde to explore and all lands east to Portugal. Magellan and a Portuguese sailed for Spain and found the Philippines. I didn't know any of that history, but yes, big World Cup games coming up. You got the United States against Belgium. Of course, I think Belgium was without their top player. I think he's injured. So that definitely works in the States' benefit. And Portugal, Spain. I think Spain takes it, but you know, it's going to be fun. It's going to be, man, I'm not a big soccer fan, but this World Cup has been insanely fun. Thank you, Raymond, for supporting us on that level. And thank you for that little history lesson that I did not know. Thank you for that, dude. Appreciate that. Give a little bit more intrigue to the match later today. All right. Rich Reviews writes, best so far, 10, Young Washington, 9, Lorne, a documentary, 8, Passenger, 7, Hokum, 6, Disclosure Day. Now is that, I'm going to assume you mean Disclosure Day. Number 5, The Death of Robin Hood. I did not like The Death of Robin Hood. I wanted to. 4, The Get Out, 3, Backrooms, 2, How I Became an Apocalyptimist, a documentary, and number 1, Project Hail Mary. Yeah, for me, Project Hail Mary is still my number 1 film of the year. Okay, so currently my rankings are, for me, and I'm sure these will change, my number 1 film of the year is still Project Hail Mary. My second favorite film of the year so far is The Sheep Detectives. Shocked. I was not interested in that movie. I did not think it looked very good, and I fell in love with it. It's so great. So number 1, Project Hail Mary. Number 2, Sheep Detectives. And I think right now, number 3 is probably Obsession. It's probably my third favorite film of the year so far. All right. Next up, we got Rich Reviews again, who writes, worst so far. Number 9, H is for Hawk. Number 8, Apex. Number 7, Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie. Number 6, This Is Not a Test. Number 5, Faces of Death. Number 4, Michael. I didn't think Michael was that bad. Number 3, In the Gray. Number 2, Scream 7. Oh God. Number 1, Strangers Chapter 3. I'm sorry. How do you not have any worst of the year, not have Scream 7 at number 1? It's all subjective, of course. But how do you not have a worst films of the year list and not have Scream at number 1? That I do not understand, Rich. But again, it's all subjective. All right. Next up. Rich also writes, why did good Canadian kid Avril Lavigne fall into obscurity? Almost every musician does. That's just the nature of the music business. Like it's very rare to get a Sting or a U2 or, somebody, others along those lines who just get and stay and are popular forever. Eventually, 95% of musicians will fade into obscurity. Avril Lavigne was great at her time, but she had a great career, better career than 99% of most musicians ever will. But yeah, a lot of times they'll just eventually fade out. All right. Next up, we got JT, who writes, Wild Wind is one of my most anticipated films of the year. Listen, that trailer looks so good. Like, I say that Forgotten Island is the best animated film of the year. However, if there is an animated film that has a chance of beating Forgotten Island to be the best animated film of the year, it looks like it could be Wildwood. It looks like it could be Wildwood. Yeah, because that trailer was sick great. Again, by director Travis Knight, who just unfortunately did He-Man, which I didn't think was very good, but I know a lot of you liked it, and that's great. But I still love him still, and that movie, that Wildwood, looks incredibly good, man. All right. Richard Views writes, Groan, director of Undertone, a film that I wasn't over enthused with, is directing the next Paranormal Activity. Groan, I'm just not sure why they're still doing Paranormal Activity movies. Are there a lot of people, like, listen, I was as taken with the phenomenon of the paranormal, like the first one, as anybody. I thought it was great, super creepy. As a matter of fact, I was on the road. I was on the town, out of town on the road. And Ann and I had just recently moved in together. And that movie came out and I saw it and I was like, oh, that's pretty creepy. Well, Ann went to go see it too. And after seeing it, the house in the first Paranormal Activity looked shockingly like the interior of the house that we had just moved into. And she had to call a couple of our friends to go and stay the night at the house with her. Like that's how much it freaked her out. But I don't know, after the 19th Paranormal Activity, I just don't know why they're still making more, but hopefully it'll be good. Hopefully it'll be good. All right. Next, Bry Guy writes, I'm starting to doubt Supergirl's quality is the reason for it bombing. I kind of think it is, especially after Minions opening weekend. Maybe the interest wasn't there at all. Well, I mean, look, that's why I've said for a long time, and people got mad at me for saying it, but it was true. Supergirl is a B-list derivative character that is not as big in the pop cultural consciousness as your Wonder Womans, as your Batman, as Superman, as whatever. So I was still intrigued with the movie, but I said, you got to be realistic about what its box office potential is. I mean, maybe it could be bigger than Superman, but I mean, that's going to be a hard road. It's going to be a hard road. So you were already working against the fact that it's not one of the big standout characters. But I have zero doubt. Negative word of mouth got out about Supergirl real fast and furious. And the fact that it took such a huge second weekend drop off is absolutely a symptom of the fact that nobody wanted to go see it again and nobody brought their friends out to go watch it. Like, that's just it. Like, when there's a movie that comes out that I absolutely fall in love with, like Project Hail Mary, for example, Ann and I not only couldn't wait to go back to the theaters to watch it again, which we did 5 or 6 times, but we then also looked to start dragging our friends along with us to go see it. That simply didn't happen with Supergirl. And that doesn't happen because the movie wasn't good enough to motivate people to want to go back to see it again, or to tell other friends they need to go see it, or to drag other friends and people to the theater to go see it with them again. And like, that is absolutely a byproduct of the quality of the film, in my opinion, right? So yeah, absolutely. It was never going to be huge. Like no matter what, it was still Supergirl. So no matter how good it was never going to be monstrously big. But when you're talking about a 75% second weekend drop off, that's quality. That's a quality issue, in my opinion, at any rate. Anyway, thanks for writing that in, Bry Guy. I appreciate it, man. All right. Animesh writes, how does the bear manage to land every single moment, even in the 5th season, while I still can't explain it to anybody why I love the show so much? You know what? I did not, I'm going to be honest with you. I did not love the last season. I haven't started watching the new season yet. I haven't started yet. I did not love the last season. I think it lost a step, to be honest with you. But yeah, the way for the show as a whole, though, the bear as a whole is this unbelievable balance of drama and humor. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's a joke that the Golden Globes and that the Emmys qualify the bear as a comedy. Yes, it can be funny, but it's definitely a drama. But whatever. It is a beautiful mixture of drama and comedy, balances it so well, can hit you so hard in the face and then make you smile 5 seconds after it. I mean, it's a really great miss. And I really just do hope that they're able to stick the landing with this final season. I really hope they do. Because again, I don't think the last season was bad. I just thought it was a dip. I'll say that. I thought the last season was a dip. So here's hoping for the final season. All right. Artificially intelligent. Or artificially stupid intelligence writes, finally watched Obsession. Didn't realize it was the same girl from Superman and Lois. She's going places from Smallville. Next stop, DCU. Well, if you believe the reports, the next stop might be the MCU. Now listen, it's also important to understand that actors who are hot at the moment will talk with everybody, right? Just because she took a meeting with Jake Schreier, the director of Thunderbolts and now directing X-Men, does not necessarily mean she's going to be in an X-Men movie. She probably met with 15 to 20 directors in the past week to talk about future possibilities and options. So she did talk to the director of X-Men. But if she is about to pop up in a comic book universe, it looks like it'll probably be the MCU. But again, who knows? We'll see what happens. All right. Thanks, Artificially. Next up, Animesh writes, should screenplays like Obsession and Backrooms be considered original screenplays or adopted? You mean adapted? Definitely, I think original. Like obviously there is the Backrooms. There's a bigger argument, I think, that Backrooms could be considered an adapted screenplay, maybe, but the story in it is really quite original. So I don't know. I could see that either way, but Obsession is definitely an original screenplay. Yeah. Because there's no Obsession. Whatchamacallit, original book that it's based on. There's no Obsession original movie from 1985 that this is based on. So it's definitely original. 100% it is. All right. Thanks, Animesh. Next up, Animesh also writes, also, fun fact, the guy from Obsession is voicing young Nathan Summers / Cable in X-Men 97. I've had like 8 people write that in. So yes, that's something to keep our eye on. By the way, I really liked him in it. I really did. Like, I know this isn't a popular opinion, but I think he's almost as good as Inde Navarrette is in the movie. I really do. Like, her scenes are more flashy, but I only think that works because he was such a rock in it. Like, again, that's not taking anything away from Inde. I'm just trying to give more love to, what's his name? Johnston? Is that his name? Anyway, to the dude who played the lead in it. I thought he was amazing. Like, I thought he was really great in that movie. I really, really did. All right. Let's see. Next up, we got Otis, who writes, PlayStation used to automatically charge you for PlayStation Plus if you had a card on file. Really? Even if you never bought PS Plus in the past, haven't bought a digital game since they robbed me in 2019. Is that true? I have never heard of that. Just because I haven't heard of it doesn't mean it wasn't true. But PlayStation used to charge you for something you never signed up for if they just had your card on file? You could sue them for that. I got people in the live chat saying that never happened. I mean, maybe this was an anomaly with you, Otis. Maybe it was just something that, like, there was a glitch and it happened to you. But I got people in the live chat saying that they don't recall ever hearing that. If that happened to you, that's unfortunate. Hopefully you were able to get that remedied. But I don't think that is something that was a big issue for a lot of people. Anyway. All right. Next up, we go from Otis to Comic Fan, who writes, James Gunn said he has friends who have different political views than him. That does not mean he will quit because of politics. Yes, it does. Like, I absolutely have friends of different political persuasions. I really do. Don't get me wrong. Trumple Foreskin is a fucktard of the highest order. And I do lose a little bit of respect for you if you support him. But that's just me. And yet I still have friends, actually one that I was just talking to yesterday, that are of that. Like, I can think, like, look, we as human beings, all of us do and believe some really stupid things. All of us do. That doesn't mean because you do or believe something that's particularly stupid, that doesn't mean you are a stupid person, right? Any more than, you know, a kind of a dumb person who solves a really deep problem. That doesn't automatically mean they're smart. I mean, we all do that. So I absolutely have friends, but this is of a much higher level than just somebody you'll sit around and have beers with one night. It's who you are being identified with politically, unprofessionally. And that's why, yes, I absolutely believe James. Again, let me be clear. James Gunn never told me this. I don't have this from any official source. This is just me as a fan sitting on the outside, just like everybody else, looking at what's unfolding and coming to some of my own conclusions. And I just don't believe for 1 second that James Gunn is going to stay. I think if the Paramount deal does go through, and I think it will, I really believe James Gunn is going to wait till his contract's expired, wait until he has Man of Tomorrow out in theaters, and then I think he's going to split, because I don't think he wants to be associated with Trumple Foreskin at all. And the reality is that the Ellisons, who I'm going to cheer for, I am cheering for the Ellisons to have success, but I don't have to work with them. They're just too much aligned with Trumple Foreskin, and I don't think James Gunn wants to be a part of that. So yeah, I do think he's probably going to split. I 100% believe he's going to split. I could be wrong. Again, I don't have any inside information to back that up. That's just me as a fan looking at the chessboard in front of us. And I really do think he's going to be out. All right. Next up, Scott writes, Sony and Xbox thing is complying with an EU law. You got to give me more context in that. I'm not really quite sure what you mean by Xbox thing is complying with an EU law. So I don't know what you mean there. Sorry. Auroric writes, hey, John, it's Fandamator. It's Fandamator from Chicago here. What's the deciding factor between a movie you buy digitally or just watch on streaming services? Any example? You know what? It's funny you asked that. A friend of mine asked me that the other day, because I don't actually buy movies very often. I really don't. Because I mean, just number one, unless it's a movie I think I'm going to want to watch repeatedly over the next couple of years, there's not a lot of movies I buy, because I do subscribe to most of the streaming services, and most of the movies I watch will just be on one of the streaming services. So there's no need for me to spend extra money to get it. There are a few exceptions. And it's mostly today falls to when Anne doesn't have the patience to wait for it to come onto the streaming service. Like, so for example, when Project Hail Mary dropped, Anne didn't want to wait a few more weeks for it to drop on streaming. She wanted it right now. So she bought the movie right now. So that's the thing. But yeah, for a lot of time, it has to be something very exceptional. So I think the last one I bought digitally was actually Superman. That's the last one. But again, it's just like most of the movies I watch today. So most of the movies that I actually purchase end up today being movies that I think about, I haven't watched this in a while. I should watch. A good example of that. Anne decided, Anne let me know she had never seen Amelie. And I'm like, cool. And I did a quick search, and her and her friend were going to watch Amelie, and I did a quick search, and I realized Amelie wasn't on any streaming service. It's like, oh, well, then we got to buy that one. So we bought Amelie. So yeah, I don't buy many new movies. Most of the movies I end up buying right now are ones that I think about and go, oh, I feel like watching that. And then realize if 9 times out of 10, it is on a streaming service. But then when I find out, or if I realize it's not on a streaming service, then I'll probably go ahead and buy it just so I have it. All right. Good question though, man. All right, next up, let's see. Blue Dragon writes, this terms of service is not in the USA one, just Europe. Didn't realize that. Are you sure? I have not read into their terms of service a ton. I'm just going by the reports I see on the outlets. So I did not know it was not in that one. All right, next up. Troll McGinn writes, I need to know seriously, was Supergirl that bad? Well, look, here's the thing. Like I said in my review of it, it's not as bad as Morbius, like the big Sony 3. Morbius, Kraven the Hunter, Madam Web. It's better than all those. I mean, that's the absolute bottom of the barrel. Supergirl is not absolute bottom of the barrel, but it is a bad movie, right? It's not Scream 7. It's not Madam Web. It's not, whatever some of the other worst films you can possibly think of. It's not that bad, but it's bad. And that's why I think they should have Batgirled this whole thing, because where the DCU is right now, it's in a very precarious, very sensitive place, right? Where you came out of the gate with Superman. Great. Good win. You just couldn't afford this. Not just it being a financial flop, but the fact that it did not do anything to help the reputation of your brand new fledgling cinematic universe. And I kind of feel like they should have just shelved it. In hindsight, I think they should have shelved it. Not because it's the worst movie ever, but just because at this point, they couldn't really afford a straight up bad movie like Supergirl. But anyway, just my opinion, Trollmageddon. I mean, other people will have different thoughts, totally legitimate, but you asked me, so that's what I thought about it. All right, let's see. Next up, we got Arthouse Cinema writes, it's hilarious you lot aren't mentioning Supergirl having a high audience score on Rotten Tomatoes, and John being a fan of Man of Steel and hating Kara killing Krem is hilarious. Well, here's the thing though, Arthouse Cinema. Unless you're a moron, I've said this many times, you guys who've watched me, you've heard me say, I don't really pay attention to audience scores unless it's 90 or higher or about 60 or lower. Everything between 60 and like the high 80s is just a given when it comes to audience scores. Because only people who are interested in seeing a movie go to see it. They are more likely to like it. They come out. Now, if it goes over 90, this is why I say this all the time. If it goes over 90 or is the super high 80s, then I'm like, okay, that's notable. But something that's like in the mid 70s, something that's in the mid 60s, I don't think is all that good or all that bad. But if something is like below a 60% audience score, that's pretty terrible. If it's over 90, that's pretty positive. But in the grand scheme of things, I'm sorry, but no, Supergirl does not have a great audience score. It doesn't. And again, I never complained that Kara killing Krem was a problem. I never said that was a problem at all. So you're pretty stupid. You're a pretty dumb person. What I specifically said in my review was her killing Krem is perfectly fine. The problem was, and this gives away the ending of Supergirl, but clearly nobody is going to see Supergirl, so it doesn't really matter. But what I said in my review was, Kara just spent all this time telling the young girl, you can't kill Krem. It'll destroy you. It'll ruin you. It'll be sacrificing pieces of who you are. Oh, I can't let you do it because it'll wreck you and you'll never have peace and you'll never truly be yourself. And if you kill this guy, oh, then you're gone. A piece of you dies and you're gone. Okay. So then she kills Krem. And what was the outcome of her killing Krem? She is the most at peace and settled and more enlightened and feels better about herself and feels like, yeah, I am going to go home to Earth now and I am going to do. Killing Krem totally helped her. She just spent all this time going, oh no, you can't kill him because it'll destroy you. It'll wreck who you are. But then she kills Krem and it totally fixes all of her personal problems. Like that restlessness, that depression, that not feeling good about herself. The moment she kills Krem, totally fixes everything. And she's sitting in Clark's apartment. It's like, yeah, I think I'm going to stick around now. And oh, everything's good. That was the problem. You insufferable idiot. I never said, oh man, she shouldn't have killed Krem. No, totally made sense that she would kill Krem. What was terrible about it was that she just totally told Ruthie all movie about how absolutely, if you kills this guy, it's going to absolutely ruin everything about you. But then she kills the guy and it fixes all of her problems. That was bad writing. That was bad writing. Like, I get it. Supergirl's like, hey, listen, I'm already broken. I'm already broken. And I don't want you to become like me. So I'm going to be the one to kill this guy. But then you undermine everything she said by having killing the guy fix all of her problems. And that to me was horrendously bad writing. Horrendously bad writing. Anyway, so yeah, if you're going to write in, try to rub a couple of brain cells together, which clearly you lack, or pay a little bit of attention, which clearly you're still playing with your own testicles at this point. But at least try to be intelligent about it, because what you just said was nonsense. Anyway, Adam Wright says, hey, John, as the goal horn guy for the Panthers. Oh, wow. Take good care of Bobrovsky, who just came over. He's going to be a lot of fun to watch. You know what? I want to go to a Panthers game sometime. I really do. I think that's great. And you know what? I think I just met somebody else at one of the movie meetups who actually works in the legal department for the Panthers too. So it's kind of funny that you're writing in and that you do stuff with the Panthers. That's great. All right. Troll McGinn writes in, it's a competitive summer. That's true. And things are too expensive. People are more selective with their money and only good movies will prevail in the box office. Yes. I mean, it being a very competitive summer is definitely up there. Toy Story is soaking up a lot of money. Again, it's probably going to cross $800 million today, just after its third weekend, which it's well on its way to the $1 billion club. That being said, it's rare that you see a movie like Supergirl or any movie take that big of a drop. Like, take that big of a drop. Like that is, and I say this as somebody who gave Supergirl quite a negative review. I like, to take that big of a drop is really noble. It's not just an issue of, well, it's a pretty competitive summer. Definitely a factor, absolutely a factor. But yeah, it's more than that, man. It's more than that. All right. With that down, guys, that's all the time we have. Normally, I would take some questions from you guys in the live chat, but we're already past 2:00. So we've already gone over 2 hours. So we're going to wrap it up here. Guys, thank you so much for being here and making our little show part of your day. Big special thank you to all you guys in the live chat, the thousands of you guys that are in there. Thank you so much for being here and making our show, doing it. Of course, big thank you to Robert Meyer Burnett from the Burnett Work. And of course, Chris from over at 3C Films for being here. We'll, of course, have both those guys back on again. And thank you to you guys for being here and making our little show part of your day. Thanks a lot for being here, guys. I'm going to go watch some World Cup now, actually. Can't wait. My name's John Campea, and until next time, my friends, bye-bye.